Welcome everyone, and thanks for tuning in to my career perfect game. 21 holes of my favorite and most meaningful shots of my Nintendo Switch Sports golf career. Diving right into it and kicking things off with Resort 1, here's the walk-off eagle that earned me my first ever tournament win, the Super League. An early shout out to some of the biggest names in the game, Alnick and Clam, two golf giants that I had to face en route to this unexpected title. These guys are two of the most decorated Nintendo golfers of all time, with nothing but world records between the two, and both have been good friends to me since the beginning of the game, so a huge tip of the hat to both of those golf crates who've since closed their chapters in Switch Sports and have retired after leaving lasting marks. On to Resort 2, a high wind spoon shot that I chose simply because it looks cool, and I hold this out in a global game with the homie Dylan, another golf legend who boasts the title of tournament champ and fellow 70-game record holder. Dylan's about as electric as they come when it comes to competitive golf, and even won a World Cup match together. Hole 3, you saw me albatrossing while sharing the turf with none other than Sensei, Switch Sports Golf's celebrity and the biggest name in the game for plenty good reasons, and also played that game with Joe, who's been a great friend of the game since early on, and we've grinded countless hours together. Hole 4, a nice little global game 22-mile-an-hour dunk. Not a lot of things more satisfying than a shot that wastes zero time getting to the bottom of the cup, so chef's kiss, honestly. And it's also written law that if you get a dunk, you have to watch the replay. In Hole 5, an Albion global that I pulled off during the 2 seconds that I ever played with Broyce as a me instead of an avatar, so this was a cool moment on one of my live streams. Always satisfying to see a shot like that track into the hole on high winds. Hole 6 was the final hole in my first ever 66 in global, and I remember this like it was yesterday. Live streaming while chatting with Plum, who I joked with about even making this shot right before it happened. One of those jaw-dropping, unexpected moments for me, no doubt, doing something that I thought I wasn't even capable of at the time. Fast forward to now, and I've racked up 17 66-point games in a single 70, which I'm still feeling so blessed for and can't believe happened. And we'll run it back on hole 6, because this next shot deserves some screen time too. Little double backspin holdout with Joe in a ranked match. Check and mate. You gotta love that. Alright, so if you love full sending a 3-iron into a hurricane, hole 7 is definitely the destination for you. Sometimes you just gotta send up a prayer like I did here, and every once in a while, it pays dividends. On to hole 8, another little spoon shot into a mild breeze. It's funny how it all comes full circle, as I literally used to hate even the thought of pulling out a wood to play a par 3. But here we are, and because we did it, we're gonna get a replay. Hole 8 has featured a lot of pain, but sometimes, it gives back. So there we go. Now moving on, we'll spend a little precious time on hole 9, cherishing my first and only albatross on this gem of a hole. I got this somehow during my first week of playing the game during the most hilarious round of all time, as evidenced by this abysmal scorecard you're about to see. You have to do like mental gymnastics to figure out how I shot -8 with all this. Also, this next clip, I somehow clutched a buzzer beater one-hop dunk in a global final against Joe and the Aussie mate Slippers, walking down my 160-point game in head-scratching fashion. A little soft dunk. And the screenshots. Number 100. That's when you probably spend a little too much time playing the game, but running it back for a third time, because twice is not enough. Shout out to T-Mobile here for its firewall update that ended up locking me into global purgatory where I couldn't matchmake with a single real human, hardly, on the entire server for the previous month when I last lived in Texas in December. It led to non-stop stacked bot lobbies that helped me get past Infinity 5 to 6, 7, 8, and 9. And here's one of my favorite holdouts right there in Maximum. Transitioning to the back 9, the classic course, the OG holes of golf, where it all started in my childhood. This eagle was one of the most satisfying shots during a day where I bounced back from the hardest tilt I've ever had in global. 3.5 bars of rank, I'm pretty sure. Somehow I resurrected and copped a stretch of 3 consecutive 62 games, which is absurdly 1 game shy of the record owned by the young legend Rohan, who pioneered the Discord server that I owe basically all the fun times I've ever had in this game to. Link to the Discord's in the description, and also shout out again to Rohan. Another one of the most electric competitors and greats of the game, and a great friend who's wise, cool, calm, and collected beyond his years. Hole 11, this was the final hole of my first ever double hole-in-one global game. A moment in time I will never forget. On to my second favorite hole of all. We're going to spend a little sweet time parked on hole 12. Favorite tournament moment ever. Got paired in a final round 18-holer with my closest homie, the OG and greatest who ever played the game, Tix Gamer 3. I messed around on the tee box right before this, but Tix was too dialed in, so he had already hit his shot. Subsequently, I had to watch him Alpy right before I could hit mine. Then I followed his albatross up with one of my own, in undoubtedly the craziest tournament sequence we've both had under our belt. We were definitely both losing our minds at this point in time, typing in all caps to each other on his Twitch stream. And of course, he ended up winning the tournament. Go figure. Then another precious moment, my first ever main fairway albatross that happened in a global game with Alnick. We've also grinded countless hours of global together and traded many punches back and forth in competition. This was one of the coolest ways I've ever earned a 62-pointer. Can't remember if we watched the replay here. Oh yeah. And as if those weren't wild enough, the next clip is yet another of my favorite classic 12 moments where I secured a game-clinching albatross in what I'm pretty sure is the only ever double albatross global game on record, if I'm not mistaken. Here's that screenshot for that 62 with Alnick. So this, I'm pretty sure, is the only one on record, and it marked a comeback where I was below the cut line after the first hole, ended up parring the first hole, only to somehow, by the grace of the golf gods and a little bit of a tilt from the other players, unfortunately, Dylan and Joe, we had back-to-back albies on 18 and 12, and no words, honestly. I was so beside myself when that happened, I'm not gonna lie. And because of the par, we earned a 63. Alright, so hole 13, ranked match toward the end of season 2 of Ranked Golf. I was tied with Joe in the round entering the back 9. Then I shot a perfect classic A-7 and managed to stay perfect after holing in one here. We were all kind of in disbelief at what was happening, honestly. My main goal before the game started was just to win the game so I could get to the 2,500 point mark in Ranked, which would be the first time anyone reached that number in the 2 seasons that Ranked had been in operation. Not only did I win the game, I broke my classic course personal best by 2 shots, tied the world record with a -17 outing on the back. It's also secured me a share of the ranked 18-hole record that now belongs to myself and T. Hassey, one of Japan's best golfers and tournament champs. So shout out to Hassey, aka Ronald McDonald. I think that has to also be my favorite accomplishment, a world record round while in competition. I doubt I'll ever repeat that kind of performance. Also shout out to Schmeed, Zach, B-Schick, Ingrid, and Joe again. Couldn't have asked for a better group to do that with, and they were the best hype folk you could ever ask for. Hole 14. Here's a match I played with Nop, where I joked about this hole being a 66 opportunity since we both were sitting at 48 points after 4 going into this one. And lo and behold, by the grace of the golf gods yet again, the shot went in and I clinched what ended up being back-to-back 66 games. Another WTF moment for me that I still cannot believe happened. Nop is one of the purest guys out there, so tune into Twitch Tuesday afternoons to join in on the fun. Best weekly tradition out there. A Tuesday Montage golf-a-thon. Classic 15, the only time I haven't gotten mad for having accidentally curved a shot. This was hole 2 of the 70 game. I'd been on a massive tilt right before this game and had rage quit the previous game after missing a putt on 17, which knocked me out in the semis. But I kept the live stream up, and Joe and I teamed up for this global match that would end up being the most memorable global game of my life. Crazy. Alright, Classic 16. I had been searching forever to make my first ever hole-in-one there. And I ended up doing it in global and then in ranked 6 days apart somehow. And again, anytime you hole-in-one, a par 4, the replay is a must. This was in a ranked match. And again, another bang. And another replay. I ended up shooting a minus 14 that round. Needed to eagle 18 as the last hole for 15, but I could not clutch. But I will take that. Alright, on to the bane of my existence, Classic 17. This was during a VC with Tix, where we were grinding for a combined minus 30 and 9-hole random. Nothing quite like a VC with a homie. So this is one of my most memorable moments on 17, because it happened while we were playing together. I absolutely love it. It was like when the clock was definitely winding down too. I'm pretty sure he may have barely got his shot off. We tried to replicate and get the double heel. And rounding out the classic course with hole 18, I'm going to let this one play out with commentary of its own. Okay.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most!
So there you have it. And also this next shot is near and dear to me because it was part of the first time I've ever went perfect on a par 3, par 4, and par 5 all in the same game in a tournament, which I've dubbed as a cycle, even though I have no idea if that'll ever catch on. And it was a double hole out where Tay-Dog, or the dog, I don't know how you say it, Tay-Dog, he followed my shot up with an identical shot of his own, which was his first ever albatross. So such a cool moment. I did not even know if you could reach the left fairway, but we both did, and we both hit the same shot after that. And to add to the significance of that moment, I ended up winning the tournament overall, which was my second victory ever, one where the magic was real. I somehow never was outscored in a single game out of 6 matches, 5 of which were sweeps. So definitely am beside myself for having won the tournament at all, much less snagging wins over some crazy, talented golfers in the process. So super thankful. And there is the sauce from Tay-Dog. The magic was also real as ever on these special holes coming up. One of only 3 eagles I've ever had in competition on hole 19 was in this final of a global game against the very talented Lou and fellow 70-point game record holder Lohania. I was below the cut line after hole 1 of this game, ended up coming back to get to within 4 of Lou going in the final, which is a time you never want to see a special hole present itself, but I snagged this eagle, earned a spot in close to the pin contest, and ended up winning. This is my first ever stacked lobby win as an Infinity 5 with Broyce, and Broyce has since retired from global. This hole 20 shot is mainly my favorite because it happened in a match that secured a spot for me and my partner, the homie Dird, in the final of the first ever Golf World Cup that Sensei hosted last year. So many insane moments throughout that entire tournament for me and Dird. Huge shout out to my Team USA 1 partner, and shout out to Canada for winning eventually. I'll never forget it. Last but not least, a ranked match where it was 3 of the top 4 players of the leaderboard at the time, Joe, Con, and me. Joe was leading by 2 with 4 holes left. I came back to tie him going into this final hole and came back to steal the win on Special 21 after getting this rollout shot to find the back of the cup. Anywho, thanks again to everyone for their support, for joining me on this journey, and for the love you've all shown this past year and then some. I look forward to possibly many more magical moments, and I'll see you soon.